Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I live in Durham, North Carolina. I am in my workshop that I call Paper Town. It is morning time. I have just not been up for very long drinking coffee, and I wanted to go ahead and get this video on the channel so that you can see the collage that I worked on last night. I really love the way this collage turned out, so I would like for us to do one together. There are a couple of ways to do a collage in your journal. You can find a spread that is sort of blank and work on that. Or, like here, you see this page, we have something in the middle of two usable pages. But if you don't have that, it is totally a good idea to do a collage on a separate piece of paper and then put that into the journal. And that's what I'm going to do this time. I have a piece of paper here that is already folded. You can choose whatever kind of paper you want to work on. What I ended up using is an old book page. I'm going to actually go ahead and put a piece of masking tape down the center of the fold. I think it will add some interest and it will sturdy up the center of this. I'm going to end up putting this collage into my journal, probably gluing it in so that I have some hidden writing spots underneath each side. Here I'm just going to take my distress ink and go around the edges and kind of grunge up the page a little bit. I think I will even take the ink pad and run it down the center. We're going to use some water to spread the ink all over the page. Don't worry about making anything perfect. We're just going to get the ink all over the page. Some of this will end up being covered up, and I'm going to go ahead and dry this. First, I turned it over and pressed it to some papers underneath to get a little bit of the water off. You end up with some really cool pages on your art desk too if you do this sort of thing. So let's go ahead and dry this page. I have just a piece of plain paper here that I'm going to tear into bits. You might be noticing this spot on my arm. It's not an actual tattoo. I found a temporary tattoo in the thrift store for 25 cents, and it reminded me so much of my cat, Vladimir. I bought it and put it on my arm just to have fun with it today. So you can see what I'm doing here is taking the paper and tearing it into little pieces. I do get some pieces with a straight edge. I don't want all of them like that though, so I try to have some pieces that are just torn all the way around. We don't need a lot of these, we just want a few to go in different spots across the pages. And I'm going to put some glue on the backs of all of these and we will just glue them into place. I'm just randomly placing these pieces all over the collage. The only time I'm not random with it is that if one of the torn pieces of paper does have a straight edge, I put it along the straight edge of the collage page itself, if that makes sense. Let's just go around the edges of these and get up any excess glue. And I'm going to come back with the ink pad and just go around the edges of these sort of in a messy way. We're going to come back again with water and kind of spread this ink around, but it does sort of highlight these pieces that we've put on the page. And I just like the way it looks. We can add ink to any place on the page that we feel like needs it. I just want the page to feel just fun and grungy and sort of random. I am going to come back with the hairdryer and dry some of these spots off so that we can do the next part of the collage. I don't know where I got this pencil, whether it was new or thrifted, but I pulled it out of my can of pencils and I've really enjoyed using it lately. It's a Prismacolor ebony pencil, and I'm just going to go around the edges of some of these pieces of paper we've glued on We don't want this to feel too contrived. You can even use your non-dominant hand just to make some marks on the page. For the next part of this collage, I'm going to do something that I've started doing recently, and it's just kind of this tricky, fun thing that makes me feel like I'm journaling something private, and yet it is hidden. You can take a word that you want to express, an emotion, maybe is a better way to put it, and you can put it on your page randomly so that it just looks like letters, but you know that the word is there. I've had some communication recently with a person that I feel like maybe didn't go as smoothly as I wanted it to. My own words is what I'm thinking about, not necessarily what the other person said. And I've just hoped that there's not any mistrust that has developed because of the conversation. So I am going to stamp the word mistrust on the page and just put the letters all around in places where probably anybody looking at the page would not even know that this word is on the page. Let's move the collage to the side now and get out a small piece of watercolor paper. I have a large pad that I've been taking a large sheet out, cutting it into 4x6 pieces so that I always have paper ready to do face practice, painting and sketching. That's really important to me, and I want to make it easy for me to remember to do that on a regular basis. Here we are starting the face. I'm starting with the eyebrows. I was going to record this whole process, and I don't know if my phone got hot where it was sitting or if it just ran out of space, but it did cut off, so I did not get the entire sketch on here. But do not be afraid to practice face drawing. Just put what you feel on the page. If you want to research things like proportions, just do, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just put what you feel, what you see in your mind, put that on the page, and I promise if you keep practicing, you will get better and better and better. Okay, here we are with the almost completed painting that I made for the collage spread. I'm really sorry it didn't record. I used my Neocolor 2 crayons to put some color in the face, just a wet paintbrush to move the color around. Again, don't worry about perfection. One of the last parts I did was to take acrylic paint and put a strip across the top. I added a little bit of water to try to make it run down the page a little bit, and that is what you are seeing here. I'm also drying it a little bit so that I can go ahead and glue it onto the collage so that we can then put it into the journal. We're down to the very last bits of getting this collage done. You can see that I have stamped the words "weigh your words," and I don't want anyone to think that this was some sort of argument that I'm talking about. I was simply thinking back to some things that I said and hoping that I said them with love and kindness and not in a way that would have made the person feel like I was, not being my best self. And it's nothing bad. It wasn't an argument, but it did make me think that we really need to consider what we say. Words cannot be unsaid, and they are very powerful. So that is sort of the theme of today's collage. Okay, I do like the way this turned out. It's dry. It's been sitting here overnight. I love the tape that's down the center. It's kind of grungy. I love that we have our word mistrust that's kind of just hidden in the collage. Then I stamped "weigh your words" where it can be clearly read by whoever looks at this page. I took a piece of bubble wrap and used white paint on this just to press in different areas and give it some more texture. I kind of wanted more of a dramatic effect with the paint running down here, but I'm satisfied with the way it turned out. Something I did before it completely dried, and I like this opposite effect. I flipped it over and pressed it on this side, but I turned it upside down first. So we have the blue here and then here, and it's kind of a, I don't know, I just like that. It's random, but it's symmetrical in a way and sort of balanced. It's not really random, it was planned, but it looks random. Okay, I hope that made sense. I am gonna go ahead and glue this into my journal so that I have it. I'm just gonna put some glue right down the center of these 2 pages. I'm still in the first signature of this junk journal. This junk journal, at the rate we're going, I'm gonna be working in it for a little bit longer, but it's gonna be really full. And I don't know, I may do some things to adjust for that. I don't want one so bulky that it won't, you know, close. But I do love working in one and just giving it this huge personality so that it's a lot of fun to go back to. Like I mentioned before, this is going to give me some private places to write, and it'll be hidden by this in order to remind myself that these are places that, you know, I just don't want to show on my channel necessarily. I will put paper clips to just keep them closed so that when I turn the page, it stays closed, if that makes sense. I do have, I'm reaching for a binder clip here. I do have a pretty blue one here that's got some stars on it. I don't know if it'll reach. Kind of reaches if I fold it down like that, but I don't know if I really like that. I might put it at the bottom. So let's go ahead and just put that here to keep that page closed. That would give us sort of a pocket here too. And we're done with this collage. Again, I apologize for, you know, the camera turning off the way it did. I did come back with an R2 as well. That's one of the things that I had recorded. Let's look at this pencil, the Prismacolor Ebony 14420. It's extra smooth, it's jet black. So it's not a really dark pencil, you know, but it's there, and it's really smooth to sketch with. I like the R2 because it's a really dark black, and you can come back and this pen comes from the Dollar Tree, but it will run, the ink runs if you get it wet. So you need to be aware of that. Don't worry about perfection. I know that I say that a lot, and I really mean it. The more that you practice, the better you'll get. But yeah, I like to come back with this ink pen sometimes and just add, you know, a little more detail. So that is everything. I hope this inspired you somehow. I'm working on some new fun packs. I sat out here for a couple of hours yesterday just sorting things into the folders. These are going to have some really fun items. I'm planning to make a junk journal with my pack. I might sell it. I might keep it. I don't know. It depends on how it turns out. So I will be back soon. I promise. For those of you who are local, I'm going to be teaching a junk journal class at the Scrap Exchange in August. The details will be on the website. It's going to be August 20th. That's a Saturday. If you're able to drop in or whatever, I know we're going to have a lot of fun. And I will be back soon. Bye for now.